It was on September 1st in 1775 that King George III refused to sign the Olive Branch Petition. Richard Penn and Arthur Lee, representing the Continental Congress, present the so-called Olive Branch Petition to the Earl of Dartmouth on September 1st in 1775. Britain's King George III, however, refused to receive the petition, which, written by John Dickinson, appealed directly to the king and expressed hope for reconciliation between the colonies and Great Britain. Dickinson, who hoped desperately to avoid a final break with Britain, phrased colonial opposition to British policy this way, quote, "Your Majesty's ministers, persevering in their measures and proceeding to open hostilities for enforcing them, have compelled us to arm in our own defense and have engaged us in a controversy so peculiarly abhorrent to the affections of your still faithful colonists, that when we consider whom we must oppose in this contest, and if it continues, what may be the consequences, our own particular misfortunes are accounted by us only as parts of our distress," unquote. By phrasing their discontent this way, Congress attempted to notify the king that American colonists were unhappy with ministerial policy, not his own. They then concluded their plea with a final statement of fidelity to the crown. Quote, "That your majesty may enjoy long and prosperous reign, and that your descendants may govern your dominions with honor to themselves and happiness to their subjects, is our sincere prayer," unquote. By July 1776, though the Declaration of Independence proclaimed something very different, quote, "The history of the present King of Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states," unquote. In fact, Congress insisted that Thomas Jefferson remove any language from the Declaration that implicated the people of Great Britain or their elected representatives in Parliament. The fundamental grounds upon which Americans were taking up arms had shifted. The militia that had fired upon redcoats at Lexington and Concord in April of 1775 had been angry with Parliament, not the king, who they still trusted to desire only good for all of his subjects around the globe. This belief changed after Congress learned that King George refused to so much as receive the Olive Branch Petition. Americans had hoped that Parliament had curtailed colonial rights without the king's full knowledge, and that the petition would cause him to come to his subjects' defense. When George III refused to read the petition, many Americans realized that Parliament was acting with royal knowledge and support. Americans' patriotic rage was further intensified by the January 1776 publication by English-born radical Thomas Paine of Common Sense, an influential pamphlet that attacked the monarchy, which Paine claimed had allowed, and I do quote, "crowned ruffians to impoverish the nation and set it together by the ears." On September 1st in 1972, in what is billed as the match of the century, American chess grandmaster Bobby Fischer defeats Russian Boris Spassky during the World Chess Championship in Reykjavik, Iceland. In the world's most publicized title match ever played, Fisher, a 29-year-old Brooklynite, became the first American to win the competition since its inception in 1866. The victory also marked the first time a non-Russian had won the event in 24 years. Fisher, who began playing chess professionally at the age of 8, won the U.S. Open Championship when he was 14. He would go on to win it 7 more times and became the world's youngest international grandmaster at age 15. Fisher's skills and age and demanding, arrogant attitude made him a pop culture phenomenon. He became the subject of books and movies and even inspired a song, The Ballad of Bobby Fischer. The competition being played during the Cold War, the Reykjavik match also carried political undertones. Fischer had already accused the Soviets of rigging the tournament system and didn't mince words in his feelings about them, saying the match was, quote, really the free world against the lying, cheating, hypocritical Russians. They always suggest that the world's leaders should fight it out hand to hand. And that is the kind of thing we are doing, unquote. Fischer missed the competition's July 1st opening ceremony after demanding more money, as well as a cut of TV and film rights. After a 2-day delay and a doubling of the prize purse by British millionaire Jim Slater, Fischer finally showed. A call from Henry Kissinger, National Security Assistant for President Nixon at the time, may have helped persuade him to compete. America wants you to go over there and beat the Russians, he reportedly told Fischer. Fischer is known to be graceless, rude, possibly insane, financier Slater once said. I really don't worry about that because I didn't do it for that reason. I did it because he was going to challenge the Russian supremacy, and it was good for chess. Spassky took the first game. Fischer blamed the TV cameras and ordered them to be removed. Fischer then forfeited the second game after some of his other demands weren't met. Following much quarreling, the match resumed July 16th with a win by Fischer. Over 21 games, Fischer won 7, Spassky won 3, and 11 were draws. Spassky resigned after 40 moves on the 21st game via telephone, with the final score set at 12.5 to 8.5. Fischer took home $156,250 in prize money for that feat, while the Soviet Grandmaster Spassky, who was 35 and the reigning world champion, earned $93,750. Fischer lost his world title by forfeit in 1975 when he refused to play against Soviet Anatoly Karpov in Manila after the competition's governing body failed to meet all his demands. On September 1st in 1985, the wreck of the Titanic is found. 73 years after it sank to the North Atlantic Ocean floor, a joint U.S.-French expedition locates the wreck of the RMS Titanic. The sunken liner was about 400 miles east of Newfoundland in the North Atlantic, some 13,000 feet below the surface. Efforts to locate and salvage the Titanic began almost immediately after it sank. but technical limitations as well as the sheer vastness of the North Atlantic search area made it extremely difficult. American oceanographer and former Navy officer Robert D. Ballard, who was based out of the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution in Massachusetts, led his first search expedition in 1977, which was unsuccessful. In 1985, along with French oceanographer Jean-Louis Michel, Ballard again set out to locate the wreck, this time with an experimental unmanned submersible called the Argo, developed by the U.S. Navy. The Argo traveled just above the ocean floor, sending photographs up to the research vessel Noor. In the early morning of September 1st, Argo was investigating debris on the ocean floor when it suddenly passed over one of the Titanic's massive boilers, lying at a depth of about 13,000 feet. The next day, the body of the ship was discovered nearby. It had split in two, but many of its features and interiors were remarkably well preserved. Hundreds of thousands of bits of debris were scattered in a 2-square-mile radius around the ship. The wreck was subsequently explored by manned and unmanned submersibles, which shed new light on the details of its 1912 sinking. The Titanic is now routinely explored, and several thousand artifacts have been recovered. Ballard, who was celebrated as a hero after the discovery, has led several more high-profile search expeditions, including of the RMS Lusitania and the USS Yorktown.